Okay, the chair is green. Hey everybody, David Burns. Good to be with you. I'm going to answer some questions today. A lot of beekeepers have a lot of questions, and I'm glad to be a source of helping people out. I mean, sometimes you don't know where to go to get answers to your questions. Today's questions are left over from our live stream last Thursday night, so running a little bit behind, but I've been flying around and speaking. So back home, able to answer these questions now. Also, please join me for my live stream coming up this Thursday. I'm going to be talking about swarm control and making splits. So if you got your bees through the winter, your bees are going to swarm if they're strong. And so you may need to do some swarm control, or you may just want more hives, and splitting them is a way to prevent swarming and to get more hives. All right, let's jump into today's questions. Julie from New Mexico says, if I use beeswax foundation, then I don't need extra wax, right? Well, Julie, I would say use extra wax anyway. Why not, right? I think we need all the wax we can put on there. I realize what you're saying. And, you know, if you use plastic foundation, then it usually just has a little bit of wax from the factory. Adding more helps a lot. I think by adding a little bit more, you're going to help even those solid wax foundation. Be careful though. Usually wax foundation is pretty doggone thin. And if you add the wax too hot, it might have an adverse effect of melting the foundation. So play around with that. But if you can get by with adding a little bit more, it would probably help. All right. Hey, David, what mite treatments are you using and which do you not? How do you choose when to see each type? When to use each type? Yeah, mite treatment, I've always said this, it really is all about you and what you're dealing with, the number of bees you have, what time of the year it is. If you have supers on, if you have supers off, it depends on the temperature in your area. And if you want to do a flash kill, there are treatments that do flash kills. That means killing as many mites as quickly as possible. And there's other treatments where there are a slow release and they slowly kill mites over like 42 days. So I can't answer that question because I don't have any data from all the things that I just mentioned from your hive. So particularly which one I use is based on all of those things. I would say in the spring, if the temperature is good and I see I have a high mite count, I'm going to flash kill them with Formic Pro. I've never had any queen loss from Formic Pro, even though I hear people say that. I think if it was in the fall, I would use Formic Pro. You got to use that temperature range. You know, you don't want to get up over, 89 or 90 Fahrenheit. So other treatments that are flash kill would be acylic. If you got a vaporizer, you can kill. But the thing about acylic acid vaporizer, it doesn't kill below the caps where Formic Pro does. So you got to keep vaping them, every 4 days. Some of you do that. So I hope that answers your question. Hey, Jana, is lemongrass good to put in a swarm trap? Absolutely. Anything that smells like lemon, probably the best thing you can use if you can buy some would be Swarm Commander. That really works out well for, I think, I've used it. It's awesome. Swarm Commander. Check that out. That's going to help draw a swarm into that trap. David, should I put any frames of honey in swarm trap to bait, or will it just get robbed out? Now, before I answer that question, Bobblehead David, look at this. He's here to encourage you guys to please subscribe. See the subscribe? It doesn't cost you anything. It's a way of just being notified. If you hit subscribe and click on the bell, you'll know when I make another video. I'm working hard for you guys. I'm making as many videos as I can. Subscribe so you don't miss a one. Let's get back to this question. It may not get robbed out in the spring. When bees have nectar available, pollen available, they don't do a lot of robbing. It's only in late summer, early fall where robbing starts because there's a dearth. So if there's not a dearth, there may not be a lot of robbing. There could be though. And yeah, I know a lot of you are really drilling down into what is the best swarm trap, what is the best way to catch a swarm. And there are so many YouTube videos. And I know all the beekeepers that watch these get so like, Oh my gosh, I got to do it the way this guy just said. I got to do it the way that guy did. I've got to put that box on top of that box, hang it this high up, face it that direction. The opening has to be no bigger than... I tell you, it's like fishing, man. I'm telling you. If you go fishing, it's all about knowing where the fish are and kind of what bait to use. But look, you can do everything right by everybody's video, and that scout bee may go in there and not like it. Or that scout bee may never find it. It's a luck of the draw. A luck of the draw? Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it just doesn't mean it's automatic. You got to be around a lot of beehives first, right, that will swarm. And the other thing that I don't have time to get into in this video, are you wanting to catch the bivouac or the final swarm as they move into their final home? I think a lot of you are wanting not to catch the bivouac, but you're wanting to catch the bees in their final home. And that's the tricky part, because here, look, listen to this. I said I wasn't going to say much. Here I am saying a lot. So the bivouac means, it's a military term, setting up a temporary tent. You're going somewhere, but you're going to put up a quick kind of a temporary dwelling place. A swarm will first settle down somewhere really close by the hive before they go to their final home that the scout bees have usually pretty much already picked out. They'll fight over it in the swarm ball. They will not fight, but they'll try to get everybody to go where they want them to go, right? The scout bee already knows where they want to go. So you're probably trying to catch the bees in their final home. So you're hoping scout bees will like the home you're building, right? And then I get why you're wanting to put honey in there, frames in there. I don't know, though. I don't know if bees are really attracted to the cavity itself, like Tom Seeley in his book, The Democracy of Honeybee, talked about, or if they're enticed more if you put exciting things in that cavity. We think like humans, like, hey, here's a swarm trap. It's already got empty, or it's got drawn foundation, got a frame of honey. Who wouldn't want to go there? Well, maybe bees don't. Maybe they're looking for an empty cavity. Mike, what resources do you believe make up a good 5-frame nuke? Oh, love that one. Love that one. I make up nukes. We've made nukes for years. And so what I like to do, you think a typical nuke is 5 frames, right? So I want 2 frames of resources. I really do. And in those frames, I want honey, pollen, bee bread, whatever those resources are. I got to have something for the bees to eat on. And the other 3 frames, I want to have a combination of everything. And that means I want eggs, larvae, capped over pupae, and I want more honey, and I want more pollen. So in other words, it's hard to make up a 5-frame nuke with just perfect amount of everything on every frame. Bees don't make it that way. Bees make brood frame in a rainbow effect. Honey at the top, brood next to that, honey at the top, pollen next to that, and then brood in the middle. So that's a perfect frame, right? You want at least 2 of those. 3 maybe is a bit too much in a nuke. It might be okay. I don't like having 3 frames of brood in a nucleus, because they'll swarm like that. They'll swarm before you come and pick them up. I don't like that. You know, they start putting swarm cells in there. So a customer doesn't like to get a nuke that's overbrooded and they're about ready to swarm. You take them home and they swarm on you. So I don't like to put 3 solid frames of brood in there. So that answer your question? Okay. Hey, here's Grayson at Wildwood Honeybee Farms. Hey, David, last year I treated with Apigard, a Thymol, and around 2 weeks later, multiple queen cells died. Oh, really? Queen cells died. Am I saying cells and there's no cell there? Okay. Later, multiple queens died. I had no idea why. Could it be because of the Apigard? That was my main problem, queens dying. You know, I've not really heard that. I really haven't. Is it possible? Anything is possible. You're introducing kind of like something new into the hive, like a treatment, like Thymol. So it could be. I don't hear that very often. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that. So a lot of times, and I believe this is true, sometimes when queens die during treatment, it is often because that queen has an issue anyway. The queen is weak, failing, and they might just do away with her. And the treatment might just be the point when they say, okay, that's it. Here's Sherry. One and only colony died. Oh, sorry about that, Sherry. That's frustrating. Cleaned it up. Should I close the entrance or hope for a swarm to move in? Southern Indiana. Don't hope for a swarm to move in. I've done that too, and it's never happened. I leave some hives out there all year long. In my 30 years of beekeeping, never have I had a swarm move into a beehive. And like I said, it's a perfect environment. Drawn comb. It's easy to work. It's all set up. Yeah, I think bees prefer trees. I really do. Swarms when they're moving out like that. I wouldn't count on it. It can happen. People are going to leave comments, say it happened to them. I know. It's never happened to me. I wouldn't make that your only plan. Okay, have you ever tried nematodes for small hive beetle? I haven't. By the way, nematodes are like little roundworms, I guess is probably the best way to describe them. And the most common one that is used is Heterorhabditis indica, I think how you say that. And that's a more common one that people use in beekeeping. It's an endomopathogenic beneficial way of controlling small hive beetle. That just means we use other like bacteria, viruses, other things to control insects, you know, and other things. So, and yeah, it does work actually. If you get some nematodes and put them around a hive on the ground, maybe, I think it's best to do it at nightfall, by the way. Yeah, you can get, it has an 80 to 100% efficacy. They just eat up the larvae, and the pupae. And, but the thing with me though is if you've already got the larvae of small hive beetle jumping into the ground out of the front of your hive, that means inside the hive, there's a lot of beetles in there, right? I'd rather control the adult beetles before they continue to mature, to lay eggs and those mature to become larvae and they slime your hive and then jump out the entrance. So it's better to get ahead of it. But I think anything you can do to control small hive beetle, like nematodes, some people use Grub X, which is similar. It's a chemical that is eating up or killing the small hive beetle around hives. Some beekeepers use that. Nematodes do work. Hey, Anthony, it was great seeing you in North Carolina. Had fun sitting with you, chatting with you. Anthony's a big supporter. Thanks for supporting the channel so much, Anthony. Appreciate it. Hey, David, last spring I had problems with mosquitoes in my water sources. What's good for that? You know what? My dad taught me growing up. And anytime that he saw me leave a 5-gallon bucket with some water in it, he didn't like that for 2 reasons. Number one, a small child can actually look at that 5-gallon bucket and fall into the water and can't get out. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. So he always said, dump that thing out, turn it upside down. And then his second thing, at the time I lived in Tennessee. I grew up in Tennessee. And we had 5-gallon buckets sitting around a lot of times. We had a lot of mosquitoes in Tennessee. And he didn't like mosquitoes either. And he said, anytime there's a water source on the property, David, get rid of the water source or you're going to have mosquitoes. And that's another reason he made me dump out old 5-gallon buckets of water anywhere. Wheelbarrows full of water. He'd said, don't leave water. Another source, we had them, was old tractor tires. How that, the tractor tire laying on the ground gets out water in there. Mosquitoes just, oh my gosh. So I'm sorry, Anthony, I'm not going to suggest any kind of chemicals or anything. Get rid of the water source, and they can't do that. Yeah. All right, Pamela. Let's see, Pamela, you have several questions here. I have a hive that is a deep and 2 mediums. Okay, got it. Once we're fully into spring, can I add a second deep to get them switched to 2 deeps and the mediums? Absolutely, you can. Yeah. And you might want to put it right above the deep, right underneath your 2 mediums. Yeah. Pamela also says, I need to check candy boards they have been working on. If they need change, should I slap another one on for the next couple of weeks? or transition to syrup. They have been eating pollen substitute powder. Pamela just made a video. I'll leave a link at the end of this video on transitioning from the winter bee kind to the syrup. It's all about the weather. If it's above 50 degrees or higher Fahrenheit, I like to transition over to a liquid syrup, 1-to-1 with feeding additives in it. Absolutely. All right. Boy, a lot of questions. Here we go. Don S. from Pennsylvania. Hi, David, third-year beekeeper. Had 8 colonies, lost 4, 50%. I run a bottom deep and a medium for bees on dead outs. Can I leave the frames in the bottom deeps? Ready for spring? Yeah. Why not, right? I would definitely leave those frames in the bottom deep. Do they have resources on them? If your bees didn't die of any diseases, it's perfectly fine to leave those frames or resources and let those bees enjoy the extra space. Absolutely. Extra things already pulled out. What are your thoughts on devices like broodminder sensors for moisture and temperature? Have you tried them? Yes, I have tried them and they work. If you have a whole bunch of hives, that's a whole bunch of money. That's why most people that have, a lot of hives don't use that. I think it's cool if you just have 1 or 2 hives. You can watch it. You can learn a lot from the weight changes, how much honey they're pulling in or eating, or how they're growing and all. If they're getting robbed out, you'll see the weight go brr. If they swarm, so it's good indication. What you're going to do with that information, you can kind of already know because you're doing inspections. But yeah, a lot of people use them, and I would never criticize or talk negatively about somebody's product. A lot of people do enjoy them. I just have too many hives to invest that much money into that. Yeah. All right. Hey, Dave, you're the man. Well, thank you. Have you tried to raise a hive on purpose with 2 queens, maybe keeping together in some cases, separated by candy so they get used to each other? Thanks. I've never tried that because understanding bee biology, that's not going to go well. Whether I can get 2 queens that are going to be rival queens to get along, ooh, that's going to be hard for me to do. Oh, I don't think I could ever do that. It would take so much work to keep them apart. And the other thing is, 1 queen can do the job. In one of my videos, I evaluated how many eggs a queen was laying. She was topping well over 2,000 eggs a day in the spring. That's more eggs than I need anyway. I don't need 4,000 eggs. Look, the more kids you have, the more pizza and Coke they're going to eat. And the more insurance you're going to have, your insurance is going to be higher with more kids on the plan, right? More expenses. The more bees you're having produced by now 2 queens, the more energy, more food. Oh my gosh. I don't know. It just sounds like a lot. I don't think that's how in nature bees are set up. It happens. Sometimes you can have 3 queens in there occasionally, but it's kind of rare. I don't think I would like that. But hey, I don't fault anybody for trying something. I think it's a cool thing to try. If you want to get them to live together. Interesting. Gary had a couple of dead outs this winter, plenty of honey, and that wasn't touched. Would it be okay to extract in the spring for human consumption? Absolutely, provided you followed all the legal requirements on any treatments that you used, okay? And provided that bees didn't poop all over the combs. Sometimes bees hold it too long in the winter and they die, and before they can go outside to defecate, they defecate on your honey and all. I wouldn't use it. But yeah, if it's just honey that is there, it's honey. It's capped over. It's good for human consumption. Absolutely. Any experience with the yellow-flowered Carolina jasmine vine and honey toxicity? Well, obviously, just because I just spoken the Carolinas doesn't mean I've had experience with that flower. I know it's not just in the Carolinas. But on the other hand, I did a video on different plants that cause different problems with bees. This plant has been known, and it has been talked about among beekeepers as being toxic. The honey, the flower, it's the nectar and the pollen from the flower. It has been shown to be toxic to humans, animals, and yes, even bees. That's what some beekeepers have reported. And yeah, so I would kind of stay away from it. If there's a way that you can cut that out and get it off your property, I think that'd be the better thing, just because of what is said about it and what the research shows. Yeah, I think I would go that direction for sure. You just never know. Bees oftentimes go to so many other different resources. They're rarely just on one plant. And so even if they do get into like rhododendrons and things that kind of have the same effect, then it's so muddled down that it really isn't an issue for anybody. I mean, it could be, but we don't really worry about it unless we have, you know, maybe 20 acres of this stuff, nothing but that, and our bees are all over it. All right, then we have an issue, then we have a concern, that's for sure. You know, beekeeping offers a lot of opportunity for us to learn. That's what I love the most about beekeeping. I'm constantly learning about things. It is exhausting, the amount of information that is constantly having to be studied and researched and looked at by me to stay up to date on bees. But I love it. That's what I enjoy doing so much, because I like doing it, because I feel like I can help you guys out. And, you know, maybe don't have to do all the research. But a big thing, and I spoke about this in North Carolina, is that I'm trying to get more and more beekeepers not to just want an answer from a reliable source, but I want them to be able to first try to know beekeeping so well that they're able to learn how to know the answer themselves. And I know from the very beginning, nobody can do that. You just got to ask questions in the beginning. But we all have to grow to the point of at being a really good beekeeper, that we learn enough information, we learn bee biology so well that we can use critical thinking skills. That's one of the things I really push hard in all my presentations, is to really develop critical thinking skills on your own. By the way, I love to speak. I've got a speaking engagement coming up in a few months down in Texas, Abilene, Texas. I'll be talking more about that as the time gets closer. I've got a lot of Zoom meetings coming up. Of course, I've got Eastern Apicultural Society meeting coming up in, I think, late July. Looking forward to that so much. A lot of bee stuff going on. But if you want me to speak at your club, I do have a few openings left, a few months to fill in this year. So email me if you're interested in me coming and speaking at your place. Love to do that. I love traveling. I think I've said before I don't like traveling that much, but I kind of do like traveling. I meant to say I used to travel a lot overseas to other countries. I don't like crossing the pond so much as I do. I enjoy traveling around the U.S. Yeah, it's fun. I will always fly if I'm speaking somewhere, unless it's 4 or 6 hours near me, then I'm going to drive. But I enjoy flying. And I enjoy, most of all, meeting beekeepers, just hanging out with beekeepers like I did in North Carolina. That was just a hoot. I can't say enough. If you live in North or South Carolina, they have outstanding bee organizations, local clubs, state organizations. North Carolina, South Carolina, tell you, they got it together. So if you're a beekeeper, you're new to beekeeping, you live over there, you got to get with the clubs. You got to get into the state conferences and all. Just a hoot. Just a lot of good people. They got it together. Got some master beekeeper programs over there as well. I met a lot of master beekeepers that were working on becoming a master beekeeper under the North Carolina program. And it's fun. It's just a hoot. Wow. And also, I want you to know that LiveStream is one of my most favorite things to do on a weekly basis, because I can help answer your questions and teach you. So be sure and join me for my live stream this Thursday. And as always, remember, our online classes are 50% off until March the 20th. Time's running out. Our way of helping new beekeepers in the spring get a lot of foundation under your belt. These classes, by the way, they are not my YouTube videos repurposed. Some of you ask, well, what's the difference between the online courses and David's beekeeping videos? There's a big difference. I go into more detail. They're more organized. They're more structured. They are a specific topic where I go from start to finish. YouTube videos are kind of sporadic, and you never know what the algorithm's going to throw you. So you may not have a holistic, fundamental foundation of beekeeping just by watching videos. So the classes are going to help you a lot. So check those out. I just made a video and it's all about changing from the winter bee kind board over to feeding your bees in late winter or early spring. You got to watch this. I'll demonstrate how to mix all the stuff that I feed my bees in the spring and how to feed them. Check the video out right here, guys. Look forward to meeting you over there. Come on, see you over there. Thanks for watching.